Okay, we can start now. So last class, I think we stopped with discussing certain part two questions because we're done with we're with the part two main questions. Because the compulsory questions all, I guess we are done. Yeah, compulsory questions all are over. And from the selection question, we did the 2016 is done, and 2017 is. Did I ask you to do this? Like you all did it, and I did not discuss. Same other. We didn't do. Okay. Okay, then I'll give you this question. 5 minutes. Yeah, this question is about 5 minutes. It's a flowchart question. Those who have the tute, it's on page number 7. I'll give you 5 minutes. Yeah, there is a tute for the paper class. If you're attending my what do you call theory classes, then you'll be getting the printed tute delivered to your house. If you're not attending the theory classes, then you can get the PDF version from the WhatsApp community. Let me on the timer. Timer. Good. Okay, start doing it. Yeah, sure. Wait, I'll send the PDF. Yeah, tubes. The online instructions will be given the tube proposed. I mean, speed. Unfilled. So those who are not attending the class can refer this. Isn't the question a bit different compared to the flowchart? That reads two numbers and displays a smaller number. Is A greater than B? Yes, you're correct. Ah, no, yeah, the question is correct. Question is correct, man. Zamil, did you get this one? Did you get the SDLC tube and the internet and email? You get those tubes, the lesson 2 and 3 tube. Along with the lesson 2 and 3 tube, we have got something called programming booklet. This is basically the programming booklet. We have to convert the flowchart. Yes. Yeah. The question is asking to convert the flowchart. Given flowchart. See, write the pseudocode for the algorithm. When the unit 2 will be dispatched. It's already dispatched. Majority have already got it. I think only a uh, if you got the if you got the STLC tute and the internet email route, along with that, you would have got the programming booklet. So this is basically the programming booklet. Let's see how many of you all should get the tute which is not still dispatched. Is it fine if you put stop next to end? It's fine, but put end. I think I didn't still share the recording. The last week's worksheet. I'll share it today. Tutes. How to get all these tutes? If you want the printed tutes, only for my class. If you're attending my theory class, I give you the printed tute. Who have not got the printed tute? Only Agnesh and Arkab. Only your both tutes has to be packed. Those who are joining the theory class, your tutes are dispatched. Those who are done with the question, raise your hands up. It's an easy question. Shoot. I'm forgetting to pause the screen share sometimes. Man. Good that you told me. Anunaவே வேறுனே. Studios are going to hit for the recording now. Sad life. Exactly. Samla, did I give you a booklet? Like what do you call a tube without a cover page? No. Okay, remind me next week. I'll give it. What is so secret? You have people's address and phone number. That was by mistake. Like, I did. In that day, I did in the class. Give me a moment. Okay, let's start. Why is the camera so this one? Anyways, I'll resolve that later. Yes, sure. So the question is saying the following flowchart shows an algorithm that reads two numbers. Read means input, okay? That inputs two numbers and displays the smaller number, right? So they are given flowchart. The question is saying write the pseudocode for the flow algorithm in the flowchart given. Okay, let's convert. Oh yeah, thank you, man. Now, when you take what you call pseudocode, normally in pseudocode, we don't start with start. Instead of start, what is the keyword we use to start to show the starting of the pseudocode? In pseudocode, normally we don't use start. Something else we use. What is it? Exactly. In pseudocode, we actually use begin. So I'm going to mention here begin. And then what do you call we have input A and B. So you can write that as it is input A comma B. Easy. And then is A greater than B? Right. Now, last week when I was teaching, last week or week before, I think last week, or I think, okay. Last week when I was teaching you all about flowchart, I told you all that, not recommend, remember. I told you all that when you all see a decision box, or else if you all see, let's say, a rhombus, you all know rhombus are used to mention conditions. Correct. We all know that rhombus are mainly used to mention a condition. Okay. Now you can come across conditions in two type of structures. Conditions are used in selection structures as well as conditions are used in repetition structures. In both the places, you can notice the what you call conditions used, right? Based on what I thought your last week, tell me, is this condition or is this what you call rhombus showing a selection structure or is it showing a repetition structure? What is it showing? What is it representing? Just fine as Exactly. It is representing actually a selection structure because I told you if there is two people, one fellow is going to go only in the S direction, one fellow is going to go in the no direction only. If both of them meet at some place, if there is a place where both of them can meet again, then that's going to be a selection structure, right? So in this situation, if one fellow is going to go only in the S direction, another fellow is going to go only in the no direction, where will they meet? What is the point where both will meet together? Where both could meet together? Imagine one person walking in this direction, another person walking in this direction. Are there any place they can meet? Yes, both of them you can see, and then they can, this will come like this will come like this. So both of them can meet at that stop. So there's a common place, both of them can meet. So if there is a common place both can meet, then it's a selection structure. If there is no place both can meet, it's a repetition structure. I explained this last week. So if there's any of you who absent last week, you can go and watch that recording. Anyways, now you all know it's a selection structure. So selection structure, obviously you all know, you all have learned only two selection structure. One of the selection structure you all have learned is a if then end if in pseudocode. This tells what to do only if the conditions is true. And another selection structure you all have learned is if then else end if. This tells what to do if your condition is true, as well as what has to be done if the condition is false. Now, if you look at this pseudocode, you can see we have a condition given here. Inside this rhombus, you can see there is a condition. And in the program, we have mentioned what to do if this condition is true, as well as we have mentioned what to do if the condition is false. So because both are mentioned, we have to choose this second structure. So if I choose the second structure, my writing will be something like this. After if you mention the condition, so I'm going to mention if A is greater than B, then, so after then you mention what to do if the condition is true. So here if the condition is given true, true means yes, no. If the condition is true, it will display B. So I'm saying if A is greater than B, then display B. Else, that means if it's know what to do, that is display A. Then at the end of if condition, you have to put end if. Okay, so once the if condition is over, you can see both of them are meeting at stop. So that stop in pseudocode we normally mention end. So this is how your pseudocode is going to be. How many of you have got this correct? Raise your hands up in Zoom in the participants list. And others, if you have any questions, drop them in the chat. Again, keep in your mind, you have to mention if, then, else, end if, all four has to be there. If you miss the end if, you don't get marks. Huh? Can we put as input num1, num2? If you mention input num1, num2, then what should happen is you mention display num1, display num2 killer. That's how you mention. But again, you're not following the given instructions. No? In the given flowchart, the question is asking to convert the flowchart to pseudocode. So in the flowchart, the names of the variables used are A and B. So better use A and B, but you have the freedom to change it, not a problem. Do we need to use a connector to connect the B and A to the end? We don't have to draw the flowchart. We're doing pseudocode. Pseudocode where do you have connector? Is it fine if you put get A, comma B? Correct. If I put capital in I, that's fine. If mention get A, correct. At which point do we use if then and if for the one? You use the first structure if you mention if they have told what to do if the condition is true only. Now this one tells what to do if the condition is true only. This one tells what to do if the condition is true, as well as this will tell what to do if the condition is false. Both are mentioned. So in your given flow chart, if it's mentioned what to do if the condition is true, as well as what to do if it's false, if both are mentioned, then you go for the second structure. If it's mentioned what to do if the condition is true only, then you go for the first structure. Again, you don't get a selection. You don't get flow chart with the first structure. If you're getting a flow chart, definitely it will be the second structure. The marks will be 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Put 1 mark each for every line. Again, instead of input AB, you can mention get AB as well. Put 1 mark each for every line. No. No, Shaheen, no. See, if A is greater than B, yes, display B. Then display B, yes, display A. Can we switch display and display? No. If you switch display and display B, that means you're not displaying a smaller number. You're displaying a larger number. So your question is wrong. The question is asking to convert the exact flowchart, so you have to make sure you stick with the question. I think I answered all your doubts. If there's anything, reply. I will drop in the chat. Okay, I'll give you 5 minutes. Start doing this question. Otherwise, if there's any question, the previous one, mention in the chat. I'll give you 5 minutes to do this and drop your questions in the chat. I put input A, then input B in the next one. That's fine. Do this. Can you use capital letters for in this? Yeah, capital simply is not a problem. He's writing start in pseudocode wrong. Not that it's wrong, not recommended. Start with begin. Is a question 2017? Yeah. Yes. Question number 2017 is Roman number 2. Once you're done, I'm going to put all of your hands down. Once you're done, raise your hands up. Okay, your time is up. Only 25 of you have done. What meant the remaining 50? The easy question. Is there anyone of you who is stuck in this? Let me know how was this question for in chat? Just two labels you to figure out. How was the question? Exactly, piece of cake. Hmm. Let's check the answer. In the previous one, I didn't see the yes and no answers. Yeah. Exactly. Okay, let me explain. I think I replied. So in this question, they're saying the following flowchart reads three numbers and finds the smallest. Always when you get a question, make sure read the question properly and understand the purpose of the program. Okay. So here they have said to read three numbers, which means get three numbers from the user and find the smallest. Write down the correct expression for the label P and Q. So you can see there's a label P here and label Q. We're supposed to find that. It's fine. If you look at the program, before I start the flowchart, based on the question given, tell me what are the inputs in this program? Don't look at the flowchart. When I said read based on the question given here, what are the inputs? Exactly. Based on the question, the input is basically three numbers. Exactly. Okay. The input is actually three numbers. And what is the output? Correct. The output is the smallest number. The output is the smallest number. Perfect. Now, I'll show you the process by going through the flowchart. Huh? If you look at the flowchart, you can see we have this input A, B, C, which means the three numbers there, right? We are going to call the first number as A. We're going to call the second number as B. We're going to call the third number as C. These are the labels we are going to use to refer those three numbers. Okay. So normally we call them as variable names. Huh? So we have three variables. Okay. One variable is called A. Another variable is called B. Another variable is called C. And these three variables are going to be used to store three different values. Now, the first condition that's going to happen is you're going to compare A and B. Now you have three numbers. You're going to compare and see is A greater than B. Okay, you're going to go and compare is A greater than B. If it is yes, okay, if it is actually a yes, you're going to do another comparison. And based on that comparison, if that comparison is yes, you're going to display C. Okay, if that comparison is yes, you're going to display B, C. Now tell me, when you compare A and B like this, is A greater than B? You're going to compare. When you do this comparison, if the condition results in yes, again, listen to my question. When you compare A and B like this, checking is A greater than B. Okay, when you compare, if that condition result in yes, now tell me who is the smallest out of A and B. If that condition gives you yes, then who is the smallest? Imagine I have A as 7, B as 5. If I come and ask, is A greater than B? If I ask you, is 7, which means, is 7 greater than 5? Your answer will be yes. So if your answer is yes, my question is asking, who is the smallest? 5 is the smallest, which means B is the smallest. Is that part clear up to there? That when you compare is A greater than B, if that condition results in yes, that means B is the smallest. Okay. Now, is B the smallest out of all three numbers as per up to here? Up to here, if you check, okay, if you check up to this point, if you check, right, up to this point, is B the smallest out of all three numbers, or is B the smallest out of A and B? A and B, or out of all three? Out of what is B the smallest? Like based on what we have checked here, okay, exactly. Up to here, if you notice, we have checked only A and B. So out of A and B only, exactly, out of A and B only, we know at the moment that B is smallest. Now we want to find what is the smallest number out of the three numbers. So now you know B is small when you compare with A, right? For you to confirm is B the smallest out of all three numbers, now we have to compare this B with whom? Exactly. We have to compare B with C. We have to compare B with C. Now give me a condition, right? Give me a condition in such that if this condition gives you true, okay, give me a condition where you're going to compare B and C. Yeah? You're going to compare B and C. So give me a condition you're going to compare B and C. And if this condition gives you true, that means C is smaller. So what is the condition we can write there? You're comparing is B and C. And if that condition is true, that means B is small, C is smaller. Yes. If you write a condition like this, if you write a condition is B greater than C, okay, if you write a condition is B greater than C. If this condition gives you true, okay, if this condition gives you true, that means B is big and C is small, right? B is big and C is small, right? So in that case, you can see they're asking a condition for P, for the label P. And if this condition is true, you're going to display C. At the end of the day, what is the program going to display? The program is going to display smallest number, right? So in that case, what we can do is for the label P, we can tell the condition has to be is B greater than C. So when you're going to compare is B greater than C, if it's true, that means B is big, C is small. So that's why you're going to display C. If it's false, that means B is big and you're going to display. So B is small, you're going to display B. Is that clear? Understood how I got the label P, all of you? All good? If you have any questions, drop your questions in the chat. Huh? Similarly, if you come on the other hand side towards the no direction, no of what? No of checking is A greater than B. Okay. So if you are checking is A greater than B, we have to say if B is greater than C, right? Yeah, you can mention is or if or anything is fine. Or you can just mention like this as well. That's also fine. Like you can just mention the condition with a question mark. That's also fine. Not compulsory to put if or is so. If you want, you can put, but not compulsory. Anyways, tell me when you're going to check this condition is A greater than B. And if this condition results in no, if the condition results in false, that means who is the smallest? You're going to go and check is A greater than B. And the person is saying no, A is not greater. That means who is smaller? Correct. That means A is smaller. Okay. Now you know up to here that A is smaller out of A and B. Now again, like the previous scenario, we have to compare with C to figure out is it the smallest out of all the numbers. So we are right here condition. Okay. We should write here a condition where we are going to compare A and C because we have already compared A and B and we know A is smaller. Okay. So we have to compare A and C. And after comparing A and C, it has to work in such that If the condition is giving you true, that means the condition is giving you yes. That means C is smaller. And you can see this condition is giving you no, you're going to display A no. So which means if the condition is giving you false, A is smaller. So give me a condition where you're going to compare A and C, right? And if that condition results in true, that means C is smaller. If that condition results in false, A is smaller. What is the condition? Exactly. You can go and mention that condition as, okay, you can go and mention the condition as, is A greater than C? Now, if you go and mention is A greater than C, if this condition is true, that means A is big and C is small, right? So that's why you see, when the condition is true, you're going to display C. But if the condition is false, you're going to display. So Q is going to represent the condition of is A greater than C. Is this clear, all of you? Understood how I got this? I think it should be is C greater than B. Why do you want to compare with B, man? We have now, for example, okay, you have two numbers like this. A is greater than, you have 2, 3, and 4. Okay, let's say A is 2, B is 3, and C is 4. First, you're going to compare is A greater than B, which means you're going to go and compare is 2 greater than 3. Okay. When you go and check is 2 greater than 3, your answer is going to give no. Okay. So your second comparison, you have to compare with 4, right? Are you going to compare with 4 this number 2, or are you going to compare with 4 the number 3? If you want to find the smallest number, it is A or B. You want to find the smallest number. So you have to compare the value of C with A or with B to find the smallest number. If it's no, you have to compare with A. But you want to find the smallest number, right? You have 3 numbers. You want to find the smallest number. What about is C less than A? It's the same thing. It's the opposite of this one. C is less than A is the opposite of this. C is less than B is the opposite of this. So that's fine. Shouldn't it be is A less than C? If you go and check is A less than C, okay, if you go and check is A less than C, no, sure, not a problem. Not a problem, sure. What you called? How do you come to that, right? A should be compared to C again. Wait. Okay, if you go and check is A greater than, is A less than C, you're going to check this condition. If this condition results in yes, who is smaller? A is smaller. If you look at this nicely condition here, okay, look at this condition properly. Have I write the condition for Q? No? If you write the condition is A less than C, if it results in yes, the program has mentioned it display C, no man, not display A. Does it make sense? Why the answer no? Perfect. Okay. So keep in your mind, right? When you're writing the answer, just go through the program and see is your answer correct as well. Okay, one of you asked about the symbols. Okay, this symbol is used to check is A greater than B. Here we are checking is A greater. And this symbol is used, I mean, if you swap it like this, sorry, if you swap it like the same thing, you can write vice versa, upside down. Okay, the same thing you can write tilted. And here you're going to check is B less than A. Okay, so it's the same thing. Whether you write is A greater than B or B less than A, both the same. There's no difference. Just remember that this is talking about is greater, this is talking about less than. What was your doubt actually regarding that? I didn't exactly understand. Just what do you mean by confused? Can you tell me the order of doing logic gates with brackets? Are we doing logic gates now? When we are doing logic gates, I'll tell you. Or else if we come across any questions related to that. Simple open part is big and the front part is small. Yeah. Anyone having any other questions? Put 1 mark for this for P, 1 mark for Q, and tell me out of 2 marks how many marks you got. And if you have any doubts, drop in the chat. Okay, I'll not get any other questions. I'll give you 10 minutes. Start doing this all of you. Let me on the timer. I mean, for which we give more priority when we have all three in one. I will tell you when I'm discuss before I discuss this question. Okay, so is it hard? This question. I didn't still do this question. You do all think that I prepare and come before doing? No, I'm just doing on the flow. So if you're just like how you all are reading the question, that's the first time I was reading the question. Right? I mean, obviously, I have done this question around 2, 3 times earlier with the previous batch, but now after 1 year, I'm doing the question basically. In the first and third triangle, is it addition sign? Um, what is the question talking? Yeah, addition, addition, addition. It's technically it's like this: is AB greater than, there should be brackets here, BC plus AC. This is what it's meaning. You and your much. What's asking? This question they ask in the fill in the blanks, PQRS. If it doesn't satisfy the condition, how do we call the triangle? They haven't mentioned. Simple, man. It is not a triangle. If it satisfies the condition, it is a triangle. If it does not satisfy the condition, it is not a triangle. Can we skip programming oral questions? Normally, programming have around 18 marks in your paper, averagely. It can go up and it can go down. Out of the 18 marks, the 8 marks is compulsory. 10 marks you can skip. Now, this is a 10-mark question. It's 10 marks question you can skip. But the question that comes in MCQ or the question that comes in your part two first question, again, those will be easy questions. Programming is easy, man. Shaim, that was a real answer. RNS. Think. Pascal is hard. The amount Pascal is maybe a bit hard. But the amount of Pascal which you should know for your exam is easy. It's nothing. Like, you should know just a small part of Pascal. Two questions. What are the two questions? No, I asked you the full question. All the questions there. In your video, one time is going. Is it a bomb or just a normal time? There is a time remaining to do this question, man. Are you the first day for the class? For every question, I am on the timer, man. We're sleeping all this time. Yes, so one fellow who was sleeping and woke up would have asked that question. Okay. I'll put all of your hands down. Once you're done with this question, raise your hands up in Zoom. Second seems to. Give the three things. No, second is easy. Very, very easy. Dun, 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 dun. Whatever. Not sure about the thing. Imran. So, okay, your time's up. Let's check your answer. The following flowchart uses a rule that the sum of any two lengths must be greater than the remaining length in a triangle. Assume that BC and AC are lengths of a triangle. Right. Now they are saying in this question that um, in this program they have talked about a rule that any two lengths must be greater than the remaining length in a triangle. Okay, basically if you take three lengths, okay, let's say we have three lengths, right? And for example purpose, let's call one of these length as AB, or let's call this length as ABC. Easy, no? We have a length called a length called B, a length called C. You all know what is a length, right? A length is basically the distance between 2 points, right? The distance between 2 points you can call as a length. So we have three different lengths. Now for they are telling these lengths which we have, right? It could be the lengths of three sides of a triangle, right? It could be the lengths of three sides of a triangle only if it satisfies this rule. Okay. So what is that rule? The sum of any two lengths must be greater than the remaining length. Which means if I have three lengths like this, okay, let's say 3, and 4. Okay, 3, 3, and 4. Now, when I add A and B, the addition is 6. Okay, so you can see the sum of any two lengths, that is A and B's addition, when I add these two lengths, give me 6. Must be greater than the remaining length. So when I add these two lengths, am I getting a value that's greater than the remaining length? Yes or no? When I added the value of A and when I added the value of B, am I getting a value greater than the remaining length? Is 6 greater than 4? Yes or no? I add these two lengths, give me 6. So the sum of two lengths, is it greater than the remaining lengths? Then yes. So that means there could be a triangle. Okay, there could be a triangle. It is possible therefore for to be a triangle if AB is 3 and let's say let's say BC is 3 and this is 4. This is a possible triangle. You can have a triangle like this. But tell me, can we have a triangle like this? If A is let's say 2, B is let's say 1, and C is let's say 4, right? Now, if you look at this scenario here, when you add two lengths, for example, imagine that I have told that A is 2, B is 1, and C is 4. Okay. If I add two lengths together, look at this scenario and tell me the sum of two lengths, which is 2 plus 1, 3. Okay. The sum of two lengths, is it greater than the remaining length? No. Which means if you try drawing a triangle where one of the distance is let's say 2 centimeter, other distance is 1 cent, like from let's say 2 points, the distance is 2 centimeter, 1 centimeter, 4 centimeter, you will not end up drawing a triangle. You can't draw a triangle like this. That is what the question is saying. So how you can figure out is at two lengths, the addition should be greater than the remaining. So if the addition is greater, then only you can draw a triangle with those three lengths. If you can't, if the addition is not greater, that means you can't draw a triangle with those three lengths. Is that rule clear, all of you? Understood what the question is talking about? I'll practically show you. Triangle drawer. You see here, I can enter the side three sides, okay? If I mention the side as let's say 3, 3, and 4,
Number dialogue.
Sorry on the interruption. Got a call. Anyways, so if I put 3, 3, and 4, you can see it gave me a triangle with 3, 3, and 4. If I put 3, 3, and 6 also, see 3, 3, and 6, it's not giving me. Why? Because when you add A and B, the addition of A and B is what? 6 centimeter. So is it sum of two lengths, is it greater than the remaining length in this situation? No, that's why it's saying unable. But if I mention, let's say here 5, see 5 is given. 4 also I can get. 3 also I can generate. 2 also I can generate. 1 also I can generate. But 6, 5.9 also I can generate. Okay, 5 point. Okay, you can't, they're asking for whole numbers only. But up to even 5.9 they will generate, not 6 centimeter. Why can't we get 6? Because that's, you can't draw triangle. That's the rules of triangle. In a triangle, if you take, drawing a triangle, the sum of two lengths has to be greater than the remaining length. So if you take here 3 and 3, and if it's 6 going to be here, now are the sum of two lengths, is it greater than the remaining length? This is 2, this is one length, this is another length. The sum of two lengths, addition of two lengths. 3 plus 3 is how much? 6. Is this greater than this one? Is 6 greater than 6? No. We haven't learned it before. That's the problem of a maths lecturer. That go and ask Rizlan sir. Okay. Anyways, that is actually not Rizlan. You're going to ask a grade 2, grade 3 maths teacher. They only supposed to go and teach you all this rule. But anyways, what do you called? That's how the what do you called this one works. That's how triangles works. Is that part clear? You can even mess up and see. Like for example, if you just mess up the values and see, yeah, it's going to follow the same rule. We were learning addition in grade 2. Then in which, oh yeah, which grade did you start learning about numbers, shapes? That is the grade this is talking about. Can we increase? You can increase. For example, if I increase this, no, now you can see 8, 3, and 6, you can. Because why? Sum of two lengths is greater. But 6 plus 3, 7, 8, 9, no. If I make this 10, you can't draw. Because why? Sum of two lengths. 6 plus 3 is how much? 9. Sum of two lengths has to be greater than the remaining length. Makes sense? Again, this is maths, not IT. But yeah, the question is asking write down the correct expression for the labels P, Q, R, and S. Give me one moment. I'll just quickly come and do this. Okay. But those who understood the question now, based on what I said, you can quickly do the corrections. Give me 2 minutes or 1 or 2 minutes. I'll quickly complete. Sorry. What do you call? What a small work. Here, let's start. If you put sum of two lengths is equal to another length, no man, I showed you, right? Sum of two lengths equal is not working. See here, 3 and 3, 6, you can't. The rule is rule, it has to be greater. Okay, let's do this. If you look at the program, the first instruction we have is input P, then equilateral triangle. In equilateral triangle, 3, 3, 3, sum of two lengths, 6. Is 6 greater than the remaining length? Yes. So it satisfies the rule. Simple. Make sense? Okay. So here, first instruction, we have input P. Now, you know, as per this program to function, there are three inputs we need. We need the three lengths. Okay. We need the three lengths. If you just go through the program down, you can see the next instruction. We have something called AB, we have something called BC, and we have something called AC, which means the three lengths, we have labeled the three lengths in this program. We have labeled the three lengths as one of the length as AB, the other length as BC, and the other length as AC. These are the labels we have used to identify the three lengths. Therefore, this statement has to be input AB, comma, BC, comma, AC. You can mess up the order. You can first of all put AC, second put BC, then third put AB. You can swap the order, but the label P is representing this. Okay, the label P is representing AB, comma, BC, comma, AC. Is that clear, all of you? The three lanes of the triangle, basically. Is that part clear? All of you are clear that P is representing? Can't we write input lanes of the triangles? No. This is not baby. This is not Baba type pseudocode. You are not in Montessori type pseudocodes. Huh? In Montessori level pseudocode only, you write input the sides of two sides of a length of a triangle, input the sum of input length of two numbers. Those are all Baba. So when you all come into advanced pseudocodes, we don't write input two numbers. Without writing input two numbers, we have to give a name for each of these two numbers. We call them as variables. So you have to deal with variables here. So you can't just mention input two numbers. You have to mention x comma y. So x is representing the label we are going to give for the first number. Y is representing the variable we are going to give for the second number. So not that the answer is wrong. Input two numbers is technically correct for a pseudocode. For this pseudocode, it's wrong. But in the normal pseudocode, you can mention input two numbers, but that is like baby level pseudocode. Make sure you all use variable names so that your pseudocodes are precise. If we put input lengths AB, AC, BC, correct, but why unwanted stuffs? Pseudocode is something we make sure we write minimal stuffs, not velvataram. As much as you can reduce stuffs and keep it simple. So make sure your pseudocode of flowchart is as simple as possible. You can see in the flowcharts, did you see them using the word called is, so, if, for, all those stuffs with the conditions? No. They just write the condition with a question mark. Why? They want to make sure that their flowchart is simple as possible. So if you can remove something as much as possible, remove it. Don't make it unwantedly big. Anyways, so we have found the label P already. If you go for this condition, okay. Now let me imagine a triangle with AB and AB, C. Okay, A, B, and C. So which means AB is this length, BC is this length, and AC is this length. Now, if you look at this first condition we have here, in this first condition, what's happening is you're going to go and check, is AB greater than BC plus AC? You're going to go and check, is AB greater than BC plus AC? Which means you're going to go and check, is this length we have here? Okay. You're going to go and check, is this length we have here, is this length greater than the addition of this length and this length? Two lengths. Okay. Is it greater than that? Now, tell me, for this to be a triangle, okay, for ABC to be a proper triangle, okay, for ABC to be a proper triangle, should BC plus AC, as per the rule given in this question, again, look at the rule given in this question, tell me, as per the rule given in this question, Should BC plus AC, should this be greater or should AB be greater? Should the addition be greater or AB be greater? Who should be greater? As per the question, who should be greater for it to be a triangle? The addition or AB? Not bad. All of your English skills are good. Only one or two I think I saw who is bad with the English. They have clearly mentioned the question, and I was jabbering about this for so long. Sum of any two lengths must be greater, right? So which means the addition has to be greater. Okay, which means the addition has to be greater. Okay, for it to be a triangle, okay, the addition has to be greater, right? So based on that, tell me, when you're going to go and check this condition, is AB greater than BC plus AC? You're going to compare and check, is AB greater than the addition? If this condition gives you yes, okay, you're going to go and check, is AB greater than the addition? If this condition gives you yes, is it a triangle? If this condition gives you yes, which means if AB is greater than the addition, for example, let's say, what you called, we got here, if AB is 4, and if the addition 3 plus 3 is 2 plus 1 is 3. If this gives you yes, no, that's like they're asking, is one side bigger than the addition of two sides? Exactly. No, it is not a triangle. Why? Because the question says the addition has to be greater, not the remaining side has to be greater. Okay. So here we are checking, is the remaining side greater, right? Which means when you go and check, is AB greater than BC plus AC? If it's yes, okay, if it's yes, that means who is greater? AB is greater. Oh my God, current has got. And addition is less. Okay, AB is greater and the addition is less, right? So now based on that, tell me, you all told me, then you check this condition. If this condition gave you yes, that means what? Is it a triangle? If AB is greater, if the remaining side is greater, if this fellow is greater, is it a triangle? Yes or no? No. Now, based on that, tell me, what do you think the label R has to be? What should be the label talking here has to be? ABC is what? R should be telling that ABC is not a triangle. Exactly. R should be representing that, not a triangle. Up to here, is it clear, all of you? Up to here, is it clear? The label P and the label R. If you have any questions up to here, drop in the chat now. I'm going piece by piece, part by part. No, R is not a triangle. Because why? Here we're checking the opposite of the question. Yes, Shahim, but it will come quickly. It will not take so long. Okay, now we are going for the next condition. No. Okay. Now, when you're going to check the sides, you can't just rely on, for example, let's say we have this three sides, this 2, 1, 4 kilo. We can't, I don't care. Good. We can't just stop by checking only 2 and 1 is greater than 4. We have to check the remaining side as well, which means I have to check is 1 plus 4. Is it greater than 1 plus 4 is how much? 5, no? I have to go and check is 5 greater than 2. Okay. So likewise, what happens is you can't just check only one side. You can't check only what you call is one side less compared to some of the two sides killer. You can't just stop with one side checking only. You make sure check with all the sides. Okay, you make sure check with all the sides. So now what's going to happen is, if you look at this scenario, the first box, right? If you look at the first box, in the first box, the remaining side is AB. Okay, the addition of the two sides are BC and AC. Okay, the sum of any two lengths means BC plus AC, and the remaining length is AB, right? So here we are checking the remaining length being AB. If you look at the last condition, here we have checked the remaining length being AC. Okay, first condition, the remaining length being AB. The last condition, the remaining length being AC. Now, based on that, tell me in the middle condition, who should you think the remaining condition be? So the remaining length has to be. Yes, exactly. Perfect. In the first condition, we have considered the remaining length to be AB. Last condition AC. So the remaining flow is whom? BC. So here we have to check basically, is BC greater than the remaining length? Who are the remaining length? AB and AC. So that's what Q is going to be. Is that clear, all of you? If you want, you can mention the brackets, not important, but is that clear, all of you? Got it? Is also done. Now, we earlier found that R is basically telling ABC is not a triangle. What do you think S has to be then? The opposite, basically. Like if all three gives no, can't we write is BC greater than AC plus AB? Correct, correct, correct. Both are same limit. Is a question mark necessary? Better at the question mark, not compulsory. Exactly. So if R is talking about not a triangle, then definitely S is talking about a triangle. So ABC is a triangle. This is what the labels P, Q, R, and S are representing. Put 1 mark each and tell me how many marks you have got. Others, if I have any questions, drop your questions in the chat. Out of 4 marks, tell me how many marks you have got. First thing. If you have any questions, drop in chat. Why have they given a question related to maths? These are maths. This is IT. They have given you a logic here and they're implementing the logic in the flow. Programming is basically dealing with logics. Give me a minute. Sorry, current did not come. It's going on inverter. I was just wondering how the current comes so quickly. It's basically current has also come. So I'll answer that at last page. Triangles. Yeah, it can be anything. They can even give you a commerce question here. Don't always expect them to give you baby feeding questions here. It can be a commerce, it can be a maths, it can be a science, but you don't need those knowledge. Now, for example, to answer this question, did it require any mathematical knowledge? No. Why it's given in the question? Are they asking you to come up with the logics? Did they ask you to come up with a theorem on how to find a triangle? No. It was clearly given in the question. The question has clearly mentioned how do you figure out whether something is a triangle or not. So only if they ask you to come up with the logic, then you can argue saying it's a maths question, IT question, commerce question, science question. If they have itself given you the logic, then different. I wrote P is equal to length of ABBCAC. Is that right? It's right, but cut that word called length. Is this like a big question related to the ones we did? Yeah, it's a main question. See, it's a part 2 main. So basically, yeah, it's a main question. 4, 5, 6, 7, and yeah. Exactly as. I think I answered all the question. If I missed anything, just drop in the chat. Huh? Now the second question. If the 3 decision boxes in the flow chart are combined into one single decision box, write down the expression that should be used in that single decision box. Okay. Now look at this flow chart and tell me. Okay. Look at this flow chart and tell me. We have 3 decision box here. Okay. You can see this is one decision box. This is another decision box and another decision box. Okay. And in these three decision box, there are three different expressions or else three different conditions that was checked. Okay. Tell me for ABC, okay, for ABC not to be a triangle, okay, for ABC not to be a triangle, right, to come to this point, ABC not to be a triangle, okay, should all three conditions, be giving yes, or should any of these condition gives you yes, any or all three? Look at the condition properly before answering. Huh? Is it any of these or all of this? Again, I'm asking for it not to be a triangle. Huh? For it not to be a triangle, is it any or all three? Again, keep in mind, I'm talking about not to be a triangle. Huh? You have three lens, let's say. I have three lens here. Okay. I have three lens, yes. The length of X is, imagine, okay, something like this. If this was a triangle, I'm saying one of the length is 4 centimeter, other length is 2 centimeter, other one length is 1 centimeter. If I go and check with, let's say I have three conditions. Okay. The first condition is to check is X greater than Y plus Z. Second condition is check is Y greater than X plus Z. And third condition is check is Z greater than X plus Y. Now, Y plus Z, that is 2 plus 3. Okay. X is 4. When I go and check, is 4 greater than 3? Yes or no? Is 4 greater than 3? Yes or no? Yes. Next, coming to this question. Y is greater than X plus Z. Okay. Y is 2, X is 4, Z is 1. Okay. Y is 2, X plus Z is 2 plus 1. That is, 4 plus 1, that's 5. When you go and check, is 2 greater than 5? Yes or no? When you go and check, is 2 greater than 5? Yes or no? No. Third one. When you go and check, is Z greater than Y plus X? Which means you're going to go and check, is 1 greater than 4 plus 2, 6? Yes or no? It's a no. When we started this question, we learned that rule. Okay. We learned the rule that for something to be a triangle, the sum of two sides has to be greater than the remaining side. Sum of two sides has to be greater than the remaining sides. Okay. Look at this condition and tell me, when you apply that rule, sum of two lengths has to be greater than the remaining side. Okay. Is the sum of two sides, is it greater than the remaining side? In this condition, I highlighted yellow color. The sum of two sides, that is 2 plus 1 is 3, right? Is the sum of two sides here greater than the remaining side? Is 2 plus 1. Y and Z is two sides. So it's 2 plus 1, that is basically 3. Is 3 greater than 4 is my question here. Yes or no? Is 3 greater than 4? Simple. Is the sum of two sides, is it greater than the remaining side? Is 3 greater than 4? Who is your maths teacher? And again, you are saying yes. Is 3 greater than 4? No, 3 is not greater than 4. So basically, if you have one side as 4, another side as 2, another side as 1, it is basically not a triangle, right? It is not a triangle. Now, look at these conditions and tell me, for it to be not a triangle, should all these conditions give you yes, or any of the condition give you yes? Did all three of them give us yes? No. Only one fellow gave yes. See, only one fellow gave yes. Other two gave no. Okay. See, other two has given us no. So for it to be not a triangle, all three doesn't have to give you yes. Just if one of them even give you, it is not a triangle. Because for example, if I tell you to come to the school, okay, if I'm telling you to come to the school, enter the class, okay, to enter the class, you have to make sure that your books are completed. I'm saying to come to the class, your books has to be completed. All of your books has to be completed. Okay, imagine I'm your school teacher. I'm going to come to the class. All your books has to be completed. Okay. Your maths books is complete. Your science book is complete. Your ICT book is complete. Your single book is not complete. As per the rule I put in the class, can you come for the class? No. So to come to the class, all has to be complete. To be out, what? To be out, should all the books be incomplete or should any of the books be incomplete? To be out, to come, all has to be complete, fine. But to be out, should all of your books be incomplete or any of your book is incomplete out of the class? Okay, inverted again, then current again. Exactly. Any of the book has to be incomplete. So in this question, I was asking you, my question was not, but you called, should all three conditions be satisfied? I was asking, not to talk about to be a triangle. I was asking, should all three be conditions should satisfy or any of the conditions be satisfied? Not to be a triangle. Not to be a triangle, it's any of the conditions. Is that part clear of you? If any of this condition is true, it's not going to be a triangle. Okay. Is that part clear of you? Now use your logic gates knowledge and tell me, when you're referring to the word called any, do we use plus, which means do we use or do we use and? Which gate is used to represent any? Perfect. To represent any, we use the OR gate. To represent any, we use OR gate. So what's going to happen is you're going to mention these three conditions with the OR gate. Okay, so that's going to be the first condition is, so answer for Roman number 12 right here. The first condition we have is AB greater than BC plus AC? Is AB greater than BC plus AC? Or is second condition is BC greater than AB plus AC? Or you can mention O in capital letters as well, that's your wish. Is AC greater than AB plus BC? So technically, if you combine all three decision boxes into a single decision box, then this has to be the condition inside that single decision box. Is that clear? Connective questions legal, like logic gates and this is not logic gates, man. Put your tute. There's a topic called operators. Under operators, I thought all about logical operators. This is not logic gates. I told about logic gates here because that's common sense. But these basic logical operators. Go and see your tute. There's a part called operators. Under operators, there's a topic called logical operators. Where can we use words? I use words, no. Yeah, or and not. These are the three logical operators we have. Take a programming tutor and see under operators we learned there's something called logical operators. I wrote it in words like sum of any two lengths greater than the remaining lengths. Wrong. Then the tutor, yes. Can't we write AB is greater than BC plus AC? AB is greater than BC plus AC. Only that. Only that condition. No. The question clearly mentions if the three decision box in the flowchart is combined into a single decision box, you're going to combine the three into one. Again, I told you, for if you know, for example, in this situation where you're going to check the values of this triangle, if you had only checked this condition, you're going to tell that it's a triangle now. Right? This condition is going to satisfy your requirement. This is a requirement. Okay. This condition will also satisfy your requirement, but this is the condition that's opposing the requirement. So just by checking only one side, you can't confirm it. You have to check all three sides, and only you can confirm exactly. Make sense? If this question is wrong, then the next question also will be wrong. Yeah, if your Roman number one is wrong, Roman number two is wrong, correct. And Roman number two is wrong, Roman number three is wrong. It's fun. If all three were needed, we must use AND gate, right? Yes. Now, if they ask you if they in this program, if you see, the yes is focusing on not a triangle. If the yes was focused on something like a triangle, like if the this one was vice versa, like for example, if the conditions are like someplace, is AB less than BC plus AC? If it was something like this, okay, if the conditions were is AB less than BC plus AC, is BC less than, if the remaining length is less than the sum of the remaining two lengths. If it was something like this, okay, if the conditions were something like this, okay, if the condition was something like this, then what will happen is the R is there, like the label R. R will talk about it's a triangle, okay, and S will talk about not a triangle. And this S is there. So when you combine the three, what you call three conditions, the combination of three conditions should be between AND gate. So if for that AND gate to come, then we have to be focusing on what do you call is a sum of two lengths greater than the remaining length. But if you look at the program, they have twirled it upside down. They are focusing on the remaining length being greater than the sum of two lengths. One of the input is greater than the sum of the remaining two. Is that wrong? One of the input is greater than the sum of the remaining two. Exactly. That's how it works. If one of the input is greater, one length is greater than the remaining two lengths. What is the max time for questions like this? Target time is 10 minutes. You can take a bit more time because other questions you can finish early. But try to finish a programming question in 10 to 15 minutes. Roman number 3. Write the pseudocode representing the logic of the updated flowchart, including the changes that were done in Roman number 1 and 2. Okay, let's do it. I need some space. Okay, I'll erase this and write. Why, Abdullah, why? So what? Right? Put it to charge, Umar. That's not a suitable query. Okay, write the pseudocode representing. So first instruction is start. In pseudocode, we write start as begin. The second instruction is the input instruction. So I'm going to mention input AB, comma BC, comma AC. You can swap the order, it's completely fine. And after you combine the three conditions together, it's going to be something like this. If, and you mention the three conditions, that's going to be AB is greater than BC plus AC. If AB is greater than BC plus AC, or BC is greater than AB plus AC, or AC is greater than AB plus BC. That means I have put the three conditions together. Then display ABC is not a triangle. Else display one of the remaining input is greater than one. No, Ilma can't. You'll write the exact condition, expression. Display ABC is a triangle. And if it. So this is how your pseudocode is going to be for the Roman number 3. It's correct if you put less than also, right? If you put less than also, then you have to swap it. If you put less than also, if you put the less than symbol, okay, if you mention like is AB less than BC plus AC, for everything, if you're going to put less than symbol, then this or has to be changed to and this not a triangle has to be put to coming here, and a triangle only has to come up. Everything has to be changed. If you're going to change that from greater than symbol to less than symbol, then everything has to be changed. The what do you call or has to be changed to and you have to swap that not a triangle and a triangle. Got it? And again, that's the opposite of the question. I don't think you'll get marks for that because the question was what? Convert the flowchart to pseudocode. So to make sure you follow that same pattern here as well. Why should we use brackets? Because there are 3 different expressions. The question has clearly mentioned that we have 3 different expressions, and these 3 expressions we are going to put to one expression. So 3 different conditions. To show that it's 3 different conditions, we have to mention them in brackets. Got it? So these are answers for the Roman number 3. There's any questions, drop in the chat. Is it compulsory to use brackets? In this question, no. In this question, no, but use. Like if you don't mention the brackets, they not cut the marks. But in practical perspective, use it. The pseudocode looks simple than the flowchart. That's because the flowchart we have 3 conditions, and here I have put the 3 conditions together. Again, if there's any questions, drop in the chat. I'm looking at answering all. Roman number 4. When one or more of the input lengths becomes 0, this algorithm fails. Okay, this algorithm fails. When one or more of the input lengths becomes 0, the algorithm fails to function properly. Write the pseudocode condition that has to be introduced in between the input and the first decision box in the original flowchart to fix this problem. There are multiple ways you can do it. If you're a real programmer, you will do it using a repetition structure. But I don't think for your level, they're expecting a repetition structure. So I just do a selection structure. So how it's going to be something like this. The pseudocode has to be, okay, if you all don't understand the question, let me explain the question. What the question is saying is, we're getting 3 lanes, right? A, B, BC, and BC. The question is telling, before you check this condition, there is one requirement you have. You have to go and check, you have to go and make sure that all these 3 numbers are there, right? You have to make sure that all these 3 numbers are not 0. Okay, only if it is not 0, it will work properly, it seems. So how you do that is you can do something like that. You can do something like this. You can use a if condition to mention if. There are different ways you can write it. One of them you can write is if AB in your level of pseudocode, you all learn that not operator is written like this. This is called the not operator. So as per your program, you can write some ways. If AB is not 0 and BC is not 0 and AC is not 0, then continue. Else display error. Wait, the question is asking the full pseudocode or only the condition? Write the pseudocode condition. They ask only the condition. They ask only the condition. So the condition should be only this part. So if this condition is true, then you continue. If the condition is false, then you don't allow the user to continue. You're again going to ask him the what do you call the lens. So this is one way the condition can be written. Another way you can write the condition is AB greater than 0 and is BC greater than 0 and is AC greater than 0. If you ask me what is more suitable, the first one or second one, I will tell you second one is really the best. Avoid the first one because as per the first condition, you can go and write negative numbers. But practically speaking, can lengths be negative? No. So the best approach is this. I would recommend going for this. If A, B, B, C are positive lengths, what about this? You can't, I all in Montessori. You can't go and write instruction like that. You can't go and write if A, B is positive. You can't, no, if I don't, when I, the first day of Sudoku, I told you all. In baby type pseudocode, we go and write input two numbers. But in your level, you all can't write input two numbers. For these two numbers, you have to give a label. You have to give a variable name. So you all have to mention input num1, num2. Let's say you're going to make an application of talking about getting two numbers from the user, adding them and displaying the answer. You can write the pseudocode like this as well. Get two numbers, first instruction. Add the two numbers, second instruction. Display answer, third instruction. You can write pseudocode like this. It is correct. But that is all baby level pseudocode. That is not O-level level pseudocode. Those are all grade 7 level pseudocode. I'll tell you one thing. I learned, first of all, the first time I learned pseudocodes were in grade 7. Before grade 7, in grade 6, they give a slight idea of algorithm. You're talking pseudocode is grade 6 level pseudocode. In grade 6 level pseudocode, we write input two numbers, add two numbers, display answer. From grade 7 level onwards, we use variables. We start mentioning, we don't mention input two numbers, we mention input num1, num2. So technically, in your school exams, sometimes they will give marks for this as well in terms of like this scenarios. But it's again very, very rare. Don't stick into that policy. It's a risk, unwanted risk. So don't mention those words. Always make sure you mention exact values. Can't we use a while loop? The question is not asking for the loop. The question is asking for the while loop or if loop, if condition or repeat the killer. The question is not asking that. The question is asking just the pseudocode condition. Only the condition the question is asking. So you have to mention just the condition only. You don't have to mention if or while or then or else or nothing is needed. Why do we put 0? Because the question has mentioned when the question has mentioned when when one or more the length becomes 0, the algorithm fails. Good job, Nafa. Why can't we use or? Because if you use or, are you telling about all three lengths has to be greater than 0? Or any of the length has to be greater than 0? Exactly. You're talking about all three lengths has to be greater than 0. So if you use or there, then what's happening? Are you checking if it's greater than 0? No. In or what happens? You're checking is any of them greater than 0. But the question is once all have to be greater than 0. So because all has to be greater than 0, you have to use and there. Make sense? What is the answer to the second question? The top part in here. These answers to the second question. Any other questions, anyone? If I have missed anything, sometime in the chat, multiple message comes, I might miss some. If I had missed anything, drop in the chat. Anyone having any questions based on what we learned here? Okay. So I'll come to yours. If there's any questions, drop in the chat because I'm going to go to another doubt that's not relevant for this lesson now. Okay. So what do you call with that actually we are done with the paper class. So if you're waiting for the paper class, or can leave. If you have any doubts, or can stay and ask. I'll be answering the paper class over with that part. But if you have any questions, stay and ask. So Zuba, what do you call when you take logic? You say logic gates order or operators order? Because logic gates, some part is used in operators as well. Both. Okay. As per logic gates order, how it works is you give first preference for not gate. After not gate, the second preference you give for is AND gate. And the last preference you give for the OR gate. Wait, let me double check my answer. Yeah. What do you call? First you give the AND gate, not gate, then the AND gate, OR gate. AND gate and AND gate, both of them have equal powers. OR gate and NOR gate, they will have equal powers. So if you swap them, it's not going to make a difference. This is the order of logic gates. Clear? The first preference you give for NOT gate, and the last preference you give for OR gate. Clear? Is why is it clear? Okay. When you take operators, which means let's say in programming operators, in Pascal specifically, in operators it doesn't work like that. In operators, you give first preference for brackets. Second preference you give for normally you don't get enough logic gates for them. Second preference you give for exponential. And third preference you give for division, multiplication. Normally division and multiplication you can give equal amount of importance. And then you give addition. And then you go for subtraction. Apart from that, in terms of operators, so if you have is 2 plus 3 greater than 4, you go and check is 5 greater than 4. Let me double check this. Two plus three is greater than 4. When you have conditions and what do you called addition both together, two plus three is 3 greater than 4. No, so 2 plus no. Okay. When you have what do you call, so these are basically talking about arithmetic operators. These are called arithmetic operators. We are going to deal with arithmetic operators and conditional operators. So there's something called conditional operators, second type of operators. The conditional operators is where you're going to deal with the less than symbol, greater than symbol, equal symbol, not equal symbol, and less than or equal, greater than or equal. In terms of conditional operators, all of them have equal amount of priority. So you can just follow anything you want. Your answer is not going to miss. Okay. You go in the order of left to right. I'll double check that as well. Is 4 greater than 5? Less than 3. So is 4 greater than 5? Yes. This should give you an error, I think. Is 4 greater than, because here, how this works is going to check is 4 greater than 5 and 5 less than 3. So is 4 greater than 5? Yes. Is 5 less than 3? No. So if you have multiple conditions like this, how it will work is it will read this as is 4 greater than 5, but you will not come across these kind of conditions in Pascal. In Pascal, you can't put two conditions together. But how this is interpreted as is 4 greater than 5 and is 5 less than 3. Because if I change this from 4 is 4 greater than 5 and is 5 less than 7, now it will print high. Is 4, so wait, it's not 4 is not greater, no? 8 is, if I put 8 here, or 9, is 9 greater than 5 and 5 less than 7? Yes. See, high. So when you have like that multiple operators together, it will interpret this as is 4 greater than 5 and 5 less than 3. Okay, but again, you will not come across this in Pascal. So in Pascal, keep in mind, in terms of operators, like conditional operators, all of them are given equal, all of them are given equal authorities. Huh? In terms of logical operators, so there is another type of operators called logical operators. In logical operators, not is given first priority, and is given second priority, no is given third priority. You all don't have no and sorry, or is given third priority. You all don't have the no and okay. You all don't have no and in logical operators. These are only three operators. So as per logical operators, these are priority. Got it? So if you have both together, which means if they have used arithmetic operators and logical operators both together, first of all, you focus on arithmetic operators. Once you're done with arithmetic operators only, so first preference you give for arithmetic operators. Once you're done with that only, you come for logical operators. Like for example, if you have a condition like this, if you have a condition is 2 plus 3 uh, greater than 5 and 4 less than 6. Okay, if you had a condition like this, how you will be focusing is, you can see they have used an arithmetic operator. Here they have used a conditional operator, and here logical operator. So when multiple operators are used, the first preference has to be given for what do you call this fellow second preference. This is third preference. First preference is given for the arithmetic operators. So as per the arithmetic operators, 2 plus 3 is 5. So you will simplify this as is 5 less than 5 and is 4 less than 6. Right? Now when you go and check these two, but they are given equal importance. So if you go and check is 5 greater than 5, that's going to give you false. If you go and check is 4 less than 6, that's going to give you true. Okay. Now as per AND gate, you know, both the conditions has to be true. So if either one of them are false, the overall result is false. So if you take this condition, when you run this condition will result in false. Is that clear? So first priority give arithmetic operators, and these are order. Second priority conditional operators, and that doesn't have order. All of them have equal priorities. And finally, the logical operators. Is you all got it? Perfect. Anyone having any other questions? Anyone having any other questions? Okay, as there's no other questions, I'm going to end the meeting. But again, if there's anything, make sure you contact this number because my other number I don't not replying much. But if there's any concerns, WhatsApp the hotline number. Either I or any of my assistants might reply. Okay, so with that we're done. I'll meet you all back next week. Not bad. We are going half an hour extra today. That's fine. Enjoy.